Holy moly, this thing's heavy. Ah, jeez. Holy mackerel, if you don't have a bad back, you will after moving this thing around.
Well, if I want to put a winch in my trailer, I'm gonna have to go pick it up. Nice bright early morning here in Phoenix. Living in an HOA, I don't get to store my trailer at home. So, let's head over to my trailer yard, pick it up.
Here's exactly what we're looking at. This is an 8.5 by 24 enclosed trailer. We've got 5K axles and a small V-nose here. For parts, we're looking at the Badland ZXR 12,000 winch. I picked up one of the Harbor Freight winch plates as well. Their Apex wireless remote. And I've got some shackles and a snatch block and whatnot to throw along in here. From Sam's Club, I have a Platinum AGM battery. Now I need to put all this in the trailer and kind of see what my spacing looks like. I actually don't hate it all the way back there. That leaves my E-track open. The side of the plates are all the way to the back of the wall. My beam is running down the middle. Because I want to make this removable, I want to be able to throw bolts in from the top, have captive nuts underneath. So all I have to do is zip, 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 pull the power and the wiring out, and I'm off and running. Now I need to look underneath some more. Okay, so after goofing around under the trailer, in the trailer, under the trailer, trying to identify where my beams are running, I think the best idea is I'll pull the fair lead and the winch off, and then I'll put a couple pilot holes where the bolts go into the winch from the bottom. Then I'll know exactly where the beams are. Using one of these centering punches, this is a 13/32 to fit these holes. And for my mounting hardware, I'm just gonna use some T25 construction screws because they have super good shear strength.
Say what?
Check it out. Here's where those screws came through. Nice and square to the center tube. That means I can lay out much better now where everything was sitting. This, one direction or the other, will be the template for my plate steel that I'm going to put underneath. Let's go make sure this fits. Sort of. I guess I need to take some of this corner out. So here's a better idea of what I'm trying to show is I'm going to take a piece of plate, weld it underneath around these two edges, and then my bolts will drop down through here, much like I did with these plates, to give me some reinforcement on the bottom. Maybe I'll put some gusseting down here. Maybe. So I have to admit, I am not a fabricator. I am definitely a better mechanic than I am a fabricator / creator. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to try along the way, but it also means that I'm probably going to fail a lot more along the way. And this is going to be one of those primary instances of a plan not coming together. See, what I thought I was going to do was I was going to take this winch plate and I was going to raise it up off of the floor of the trailer, giving somewhere for the fair lead to sit, because the fair lead sits down lower in the front, and with this specific winch plate, it's designed to go on a bumper or somewhere other than on a solid flat surface, because the fair lead sits below the winch, allowing the winch cable to come in the bottom of the drum. However, that would mean it would be sitting down inside the floor of my trailer. I thought that I would build a tube structure out of 1.5-inch square tube, raise it up, give myself adequate clearance, and be hunky-dory ready to go. However, what I found was that after I cut all of the tube and squared it and made it look nice, that's going to interfere with all of my bolt holes. Like, all of them. So either I would have to find smaller tube or narrower or maybe rectangle in the same height profile, or I'm gonna have to come up with a different idea. Well, digging through all of my scrap bins, I don't have something in a different height profile or rectangle profile to fit what I think might work. So instead of building the winch plate up higher, I really like the idea of having it solidly planted to the floor to distribute the load more evenly, to help absorb the shear force that's going to be going through those bolts, assuming I have adequate clamping force. So I'm going to re-drill the fair lead so that it comes up. I recognize that the fair lead is supposed to guide the rope down into the bottom of the drum. I believe it will still do that. However, in this instance, I'm not recovering vehicles. I might be pulling a running, operable, good tires vehicle in the car, or maybe something with a flat tire or a bad transmission, something of that nature as I look for new projects. But not digging out of a field or out of a mud pit with my 30-foot long trailer and truck setup that I'm not gonna be able to maneuver into those situations.
Hey guys, we're John and Judah. Today we are going to be taking out this E-track. Our dad asked us to help him, so this is our job for today. We got this piece of E-track right here. It's got bolts on the top and then nuts and plates on the bottom. Let's get started.
We've got me up here and John on the bottom. I'm just going to be unscrewing these while he holds it down there. Let's get to it. All right, you good?
Yep.
Next one over. Wait, JD, let's start on the bottom ones now, starting at the far area.
I'll bring them down here. The front plates are up here. And over there. These front ones. Self-tapping. You're good. Yeah, you're good. You can just go. Good. Can't go that fast. Good. Stop moving so fast. Yep. All right. I'm gonna have the E-track all the way out. And the E-track's out. All right, so now we're gonna sand this area down. That way it's nice and clean for paint. Let's start the time lapse.
All right, time to paint. Alright, now that this is all done, we actually decided just to paint all the way up to this line right here. I don't know how well you can see that, but we decided just to paint more of it. And then now, because our dad made us help,
Make sure to go check out our YouTube channel, J Squared Cubing, if you like anything Rubik's Cube related. Now, back to Jason.
Now we're making some good progress. We have the fair lead mounted, still directs at the bottom of the drum, way down in there. I've chased out all the holes because they all had slag and stuff around them, and I opened these up for some 7/16 hardware, and then I've got some weld nuts for the backside. Now I need to cut the plates for the bottom and get those fit in, and probably drop this plate back in the trailer and drill out the full mounting holes through the wood. We have a weld point here. Is camera on?
Yeah, camera's on.
That's what I was trying to tell you.
don't bring that.
I forgot to empty the trash can. Cut looks really nice.
Oh yeah, that's a really nice cut.
That's going well. So if you're curious about the plasma cutter that I'm using a Yes Welder Cut 55 DS. This is only the second time that I've used it on a project. And man, I'm really happy to be able to cut this. This is 140, a little bigger than 10 gauge steel. That simply. It did take some grinding, but again, my second time doing it, really don't know what I'm doing just yet. Trying to get that all figured out. We're gonna get the plate in. We're gonna use the edges of the frame rail to hold it in place. And then I have my handy dandy helper here, hold the plate up while I go up top and hit it with a punching die to line up our holes. We're gonna want to weld our nuts onto the back of this plate before we weld it to the frame, just for ease. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. And now we can throw this underneath and run our bolts down and through to test it. See, now we've got good surface to weld to here. Yeah, I want to paint the top side of this plate so that it's not going to build with rust. Because the winch plate is going to sit flat and these bolt in through the winch plate, we're going to use a Forstner bit to give ourselves a recess in the floor without drilling all the way through the floor. I'm using this handy dandy little handheld press to try to line up with this big old bit.
Alright, watch that cord. Rolling this giant cart out. I really gotta afford that.
Well, this was certainly some of the least amount of fun I've had, but I've got these plates welded in with just a couple of beads around so that it's not going to come out. I mean, honestly, it's a spreader plate. It's not really going to do much more than that. So, if these plates were to come out, that would also mean that they pulled all of these little welds off and pulled the plywood out, which is secured in like 25,000 locations. So now it's time for some black paint, keep everything rust free under here, and get out from under this stupid trailer. That's bad. Yeah. Looks like I got a piece of slag on this bolt when I was welding, and it didn't like coming out.
While I'm installing all of the cables, let's talk about price for a second. I picked up this Harbor Freight ZXR 12,000 pound winch with a 20% off coupon. You might not get a coupon, so the current price is $379.99. I bought the plate for $52.99. I didn't have a coupon for that. The hardware was $34 for the grade 8 bolts, weld nuts, and washers. And these are 7/16 by 20 that I'm using. The remote was $59.99, and this is the upgraded Apex remote. The battery was $134.86 from Sam's Club. Spray paint, $6. Steel, I'm guessing somewhere in the $10 to $15 range for this plate that I had. I bought it some time ago out of the scrap bin, and I paid 94 cents a pound for it, so I'm not really sure what that worked out to. Plus the ancillary welding equipment and everything else in that regard. All told, my investment thus far is just under $700, around $680. Cheaper if you have coupons, and for that price, that's cheaper than most high-end winches. This is going to live in my trailer, and I feel like that's a pretty good price to get all of this put together. Let us know down in the comments, how much did it cost to put a winch in your trailer? That's a really nice reach, but we're disengaged. Part of the reason I upgraded to the Apex remote was because all the reviews said it had the better longevity, or better reach, better distance. And being all the way out at the car, I'm 30-ish feet from the winch, which was right about where the remote for the Badlands tended to have issues. Something were to happen, it's gonna be my weight on the cable. Let's pull it this way some. That's pulling in really fast. That's it right there. Yeah, super happy with that. Way faster than I thought it was gonna pull in. The only issue I see is the cable bunched up on the side over here. So that's just gonna take some practice and making sure I guide it over to this side. But once the car was in the trailer, I mean, you see how easy it rolls inside here. All right, I'd say that was a success. If you're interested in what I'm gonna do to power this battery and keep it from dying, it's not connected to my truck. So you can take a look at the solar video up over here. If you wanna see how I was able to light up the whole trailer through this switch block, take a look at the video over here. Thanks for watching.